We have a couple of questions in the chat from my old Business Week colleague, William Holstein. Hey, Bill. What do you think American companies, particularly tech companies, can do now that trade and technology tensions have deepened? Will they have to take sides? Who wants to take that one?
I think they have to take sides. I do. I think that they, I don't know if the administration is going to come down as strongly as it has sort of against China. And I think what I see is these companies walking this fine line for 15, 20 years, and they have tried to, and it hasn't really worked out that well for them. I mean, they made a lot of money. They made a ton of money for a long time. And now it's like they're getting to a point where China no longer is as the guy who runs the factory said, it's sort of like they're no longer the little brother to the big brother, and he said, it's like getting the little brother smacking the big brother in the face, right? That at some point the relationship equals out, and everybody we talked to said that China is closing that gap, the technology gap. And maybe they're not here now, but a few decades from now, I mean, it's going to be really tight. So if at the moment, the administration is obviously taking a very anti-China stance. And if you're a tech company, yeah, you're going to either have to, I don't know how you exist in a world where you can make the Trump administration happy while also making the Chinese happy. I don't know how that's possible.
So, I mean, I guess I would say, I don't know that there can be an either or. I think one thing that it was hard to walk away from this without appreciating is how interconnected our relationship is to China, and how much we would stand to lose in terms of our lifestyle today if that relationship was fully severed. And I think that there's a similar, though, different sentiment on the Chinese side, and that, I think, one of the challenges was that the Trump administration has taken sort of a very black and white approach, though it hasn't necessarily executed on that. But, for anyone in business, China is going to be there. And, this is something that is going to be complicated and is, not going to go away. And so I think it's about figuring out how to drive American business to be more competitive without cutting China out of the equation. Because if we do that, we have a completely polarized world. And that to me is even scarier.
Yeah, and that's, I think, Rick, as you mentioned, the idea of, do you end up with half the globe operating on the China model, half the globe operating to some degree on the US/Western European model, and that,
I mean, you go to Asia, and China is dominant in so many other places, and these companies that literally, Tencent, whatever, Americans don't even know what they are, but they're some of the largest global companies in the world with dominance in countries worldwide. And were we to completely isolate ourselves, I think that puts the United States in a disadvantage in a lot of other countries as well. It's not to say that there aren't, real policy questions that I think there's bipartisan support that there needs to be changes in how the U.S. approaches that relationship, but that a iron curtain is probably not the best solution here.
Yeah. And Bill actually has a follow-up question, which is, can we remain united in a single worldwide internet, or will we have to divide the internet into different realms?
I'm hoping that, and what I found when we were even just working, not to call out our fixers and sound guys and helpers in China, is that so many people are using VPNs in China. I'm not saying they did. I'm just saying a lot of people are. And I feel like the more that there is access to the rest of the world's internet, the better. It's so tight there with what the information that they have access to. And I would like to see all of China have a good VPN. I think it would make a big difference. I do.
Or not to have the need for one.
Or not to, right, which seems
not likely to
thing, a bigger wish.
Yeah. Anybody else have any thoughts on that one?
I don't know. I think it's, I don't have an answer to that. I think it's hard to envision how you balkanize it and what that actually means, and whether or not that doesn't just create a new market for you know, figuring out how to get around the balkanization, or, you know, yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer. It's hard to envision how that plays out. I mean, I think, you know, in reference to your last question about what you know, tech companies could do, I'm not sure, but I can tell you, I think at least, that what they're doing is trying to figure out who's going to win the globalist versus nationalist argument, right? And they're going to have to play that based on the politics and the policies that follow over that internal argument that continues today. The nationalists may have the upper hand at the moment. That could change in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, we're obviously heading into a world that could look completely different a few months from now in terms of policy. Yeah.